What is up, you guys? I'm back. That's right, back here in my train room, my hair all nice and cut, my Hockey Night in Canada sweater, all ready for another Wooden Railway review.
Where were you? Why did you go?
You
Where have you been?
Alright, everybody just calm down, alright? You know what? Since my last review, it has been over 8 months now. Have I said that somewhere before?
It has been over 8 months now, but
Alright, okay, I get it. Yes, it has been a long time since my last review. And you know something? I'm not going to give you an excuse as to why it's been so long. I'm not going to say that I've been at university studying film, or that I was starting an educational documentary and now I have a part-time job. No. You want to know the real reason? You want to know the real reason why I stopped doing reviews? Are you sure? Okay. I was on a user's channel not too long ago. This user, a Thomas fan, known as Donald the Scottish Twin, had written in his About section, "No wooden toys. Wooden toys are not models. Get a girlfriend." So that's what I did. You want to go dancing?
Sure.
Alright, let's go. This is better. But anyway, even after I got a girlfriend, I was still puzzled. Why was a Thomas fan over the age of the target audience, who still collects the stuff, making fun of other Thomas fans for collecting Wooden Railway? I mean, what was he trying to get at? That just because you play with Wooden Railway, you need to get a girlfriend because you don't have any social skills? I mean, the only reason I listen to the guy is because on his channel he has posted in quotes, "You are the hero of all Thomas and Friends fans everywhere, and you, sir, are a god." And apparently it's posted by many, so this must be a legitimate statistic. Now, any normal person would just brush this away as some irrational hatred. I mean, there's no merit for it. Any Thomas fan that plays with any kind of Thomas merchandise is a Thomas fan nonetheless. I mean, why should I care? The only reason I did was because I noticed that it was a trend that other Thomas fans were making fun of Thomas fans because they play with Wooden Railway. I was watching a rant video by a user named SireMI, or Cookie Monster for Sale. In the video, while he was talking about his relationship with the new series, he said something that really caught me off guard.
Thomas and Friends. And although I'm not playing with wooden trains or quoting the episode...
Oh, back up.
Although I'm not playing with wooden trains...
What the heck? The guy's a Thomas fan, but at least I'm not playing with wooden trains. Where is this irrational hatred of Wooden Railway coming from? That's when I made the connection. The Thomas the Tank Engine community was creating its own caste system. Now, you're all familiar with India, right? Yeah, the Southeast Asian country with over 1 billion people. That culture has been there for thousands of years. Under their religion of Hinduism, the Indians have developed a sort of class system, but it's more referred to as a caste system. The list contains priests, warriors, traders, merchants, and workers. At the bottom, you have the untouchables. These are the poorest of poor Indians. But these were Indians all the same. They all worship the same religion, live in the same country. Why was one particular group of Indians being cast out simply because they were at the lower end? I mean, it was like in the Thomas community. For some reason, people who use trains and Hornby are at the top. But for some reason, people who use Wooden Railway are at the bottom. Yeah, if you're a Thomas fan, it's okay if you use any brand of merchandise except Wooden Railway. It's okay if you play with Lego Duplo or Take Along. Yeah, you know that plastic crap that replaced this? The Ertl diecast? Yeah, as long as you play with any brand except Wooden Railway, you know, that brand that's been around for 20 years and is made of real wood, you're okay. You're in the clear. If you play with trains, that automatically means you're a cool social person and you're automatically a gifted filmmaker. The same goes if you play with Hornby or Bachman. But if you're someone that plays with Thomas Wooden Railway, then that automatically makes you a failure. You have no friends, no girlfriend, no social skills, and no skills whatsoever. You are a terrible filmmaker, and you are going nowhere. So you know what? Thank you, Donald the Scottish Twin and Cookie Monster for Sale, for opening my eyes to the truth. Oh, by the way, Scottish is spelled with 2 T's, and Sale is spelled S-A-L-E, not S-A-E-L. I don't know, maybe the username Cookie Monster for Sale spelled correctly was already taken. After all, he did join in 2006. But anyway, back to rationality. So, if you somehow missed the title of this video or the thumbnail, then you're probably wondering, what is the item Wooden Railway Reviews is about to review? Want a hint? Whew. Alright. Ta-da! It's the 2013 Flying Scotsman. Now you're probably asking me 3 questions. First of all...
Where were you? Why did you...
Look, we already went through that. Moving on. Alright, so the first thing you're probably asking me is, Robert, why are you reviewing a new item? Now some of you know I have a particular disdain for new items, but as you know, I like to try new things. If you remember my Mountain Tunnel review, I was sick and tired of reviewing engines and rolling stock. So I reviewed a destination. Well, now that I reviewed a destination, and I want to try something new, I figured, hey, why not try something new? Get it? Try something new? Yeah. The second thing you're probably wondering is, Robert, why are you reviewing a new item that's not even that new? I mean, yeah, this item's new for this year, but, you know, I mean, it was released in March, and it's the summer now. I mean, you know, what have I been waiting for? I mean, everyone else has reviewed this, right? Well, I know that Thomas Wooden Railway, Jay Louvier, and a few other users have reviewed it, but I'm Wooden Railway Reviews. The irony of me is that, you know, my username is Wooden Railway Reviews, and yet I produce these really weird, off-the-wall, bizarre reviews, and I only ever produce them like every 4 or 5 months, whereas everyone else produces normal weekly reviews. So you can expect that this review is going to be different. It's not going to be like all the other reviews, or even my older reviews. Like, I'm not going to set up a layout table and, you know, have the Scotsman on the tracks with, you know, action happening in the background like it's real life. I'm also not going to go outside and spin around with the item and just briefly talk about it. I mean, if I'm, you know, buying an item and bringing it home, I'm going to bring it inside and play with it or review it. Also, you know, I just don't see what circumstance would lead me to be outside with an item and talking about it. I mean, not only does it just seem sort of embarrassing, but it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, you know what I mean? And your third question is probably, Robert, why are you reviewing the Flying Scotsman again? If you remember, I reviewed the original 1999 Flying Scotsman in 2010. Of course, if you remember, Flying Scotsman happens to be my favorite Thomas Wooden Railway item. And also, that review is my most popular review. So although I've already reviewed the Flying Scotsman, I'm just going to let you know that this review is going to be different because it's going to be a totally negative review! Well, not really, but I am going to nitpick somewhat. And that would be, of course, starting with the box. Because, well, I mean, just look at it! I mean, what is with this design? It's so awkward. It's like the Scotsman was too long to fit in the regular packaging, but they just didn't feel like putting it in a box. So they put it in like this sort of like weird, like protruding box. I don't even know how to describe it. The worst, though, is the back. I mean, ignoring the fact that Scotsman's not even on the track, how could they have messed this up? How could they have not only got his tenders in the wrong order, but gotten the LNER and 4472 on the wrong tenders? The coal tender has to be as close to the engine as possible so the fireman can shovel coal into the firebox. I mean, anybody would know that. And this isn't just a one-off mistake. This has appeared on every other box, on every other Flying Scotsman that has been reviewed. So this is something that somehow got past all the inspections, and it's just like, I just don't get how you can mess up that badly. The worst is the side of the box. You know what it says on the side? Mattel Canada Incorporated, Mississauga, Ontario. Mississauga, Ontario? I'm from Ontario. Yeah, I'm not from Mississauga, but I'm from Ontario. Yeah, you guys know that, right? I'm from Ontario. This was made in Canada. Wow, I didn't know that. That's unbelievable. But you know what? The Flying Scotsman was released in March, and I couldn't find this in toy stores until May. So you know what that means? That means Mattel went first for the American market. First priority, they sold the Flying Scotsman in America first, ignoring their own home market. Because they knew that the American market is, well, bigger. So they figured, hey, let's release it in America first, so everybody in America gets it, but then not release it in the same place we manufactured it until 2 months later. Because they knew that that American market is bigger. It's bigger. And we can make more money by going for the bigger market first.
Capitalism at its finest.
That's right, Gordon Gekko. Now, to be fair, I mean, I don't have that much, beef with Mattel. I mean, I don't really have much resentment towards them. I mean, they just bought the company. They just bought the Thomas Wooden Railway line. So it was nice that, they realized that the Flying Scotsman was loved by fans. So, they re-released him. But also because, I have a pretty good history with Mattel. Mattel actually helped produce the Nintendo Entertainment System when it first came out in 1985. Yeah, that was right after the video game crash in 1983. So Mattel took a chance and launched the Nintendo Entertainment System to get people back into video games. And that console itself systematically launched not only Nintendo, but the dynasty of video games and characters and all that came with it. And I'll have you know that I'm, a little bit of a fan of Nintendo myself, so I do appreciate them very much. Mattel's main role was to produce a robot named Rob, a robotic operating buddy. Now wait a minute. If he's Rob, and I'm Rob, then that means there's two Robs. Not happening. Robots. Seriously, can you imagine?
Excuse me, master, but your lemonade is ready to be served.
Ah, thanks, Omnibot. Oh. That lemon has 1 seed in it. I specifically requested 3 seeds.
But, master, that does not decrease
Don't
the
argue
quality.
with me, Omni. Don't. Now give me another lemonade.
Sigh, yes, master.
Sheesh. Look at this. I haven't even opened Flying Scotsman. Already I'm reviewing it. Well, with the help of some movie magic before your very eyes, this Flying Scotsman will be open and I will be reviewing it. Ready, set, go. Whew. All right. Here it is. So there's not much else I can really say about Scotsman that I haven't already stated in my 2010 review. For one thing, I do like the detailing on his boiler, the number and lettering on his tenders, and although don't really like this big puffy face, I am glad that they kept his original winking face. As you can see, it's pretty much identical to the 1999 version. Unfortunately, once you hold the two Scotsmen side by side, you can begin to tell that the new Flying Scotsman weighs slightly less. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where my disdain for new items come from. This is Thomas Wooden Railway. And, I mean, when you hold a new item, it just doesn't seem like it's wooden. I mean, one noticeable difference is that the bogies on the new Flying Scotsman are made of plastic, whereas on the old one they're made of wood. But the new Flying Scotsman seems to be entirely made of plastic, with the exception of the boiler and the cab. The cab doesn't even feel like it's made of wood. Now, of course, it's not true that the original wooden items are made completely of wood. I mean, take the original Thomas, for example. His face, his wheels, they're not made of wood. But the fact is, he is mostly made of wood. And that's the difference between old items and new items, is how much of them are made of wood. Now, for the first 7 years, the items pretty much stayed the same. But then in 1999, two notable changes were made. First off, the funnels went from being made of wood to plastic. Second, the coal on the tenders went from being painted on to being, well, actual plastic coal. Now at first, this might have seemed like, oh no, the decline of Thomas Wooden Railway. But these were minor changes. And besides, they added detail to the items. They actually made them look, well, more realistic. Now, for 3 years, this system stayed the same again, but then in 2003, there was this change. And it probably had something to do with the fact that, well, Hit Entertainment bought the company from Britt Allcroft that same year. Now again, it wasn't a sudden drop-off in quality, but it just seemed like from 2003 onwards, the items just slowly and slowly became more plasticky, more cheap. There was more news stories about them possibly having lead paint. And that was something that had never happened before. The quality just slowly began to diminish. So it almost seems like there's almost like two eras of Thomas Wooden Railway. From 1992 to 2002 was like the best era ever. And then from 2003 to 2013 was like the worst era ever. So essentially you have two eras of Thomas Wooden Railway. The best and the worst. Well, that's how I at least see it. So, what would be an example of a best item? Well, the original Thomas. In fact, I regard the original 1992 Thomas, as well as the original 1999 Flying Scotsman, as the best of that era. That's right, they're the best of the best. So that calls into question, Robert, what's the worst of the best, an item made between 1992 and 2002 that is the absolute worst item ever made in that time? Well, I don't know, that would be like, aha! D199! Yeah, you remember my 10-second review of him, right? Boring, bland character, but hey, he's from 1998, and that works for me. So, where does the new Flying Scotsman fit in? I mean, he is made in the worst era. But you know what? He's actually a good item. Yeah, he's the best new item I've ever seen. Well, it's one of the only ones I have besides like Fergus. But yeah, he's actually really good. So you know what? The new Flying Scotsman is the best of the worst. I mean, he's just a good item. You know, good detail, original face. I mean, there's not much more I can say or nitpick about him. Except maybe the logo. I mean, although it's a nice detail that they put a logo on his cab, it's kind of strange that it's the British Railway logo, but it says Mainland Railway. And I always thought that Scotsman had his number on his cab, 4472, but oh well, I mean, on the original Flying Scotsman, it's just a circle. So you know what? This is actually an improvement. Yeah. It's actually not bad. And now for the recommendation. Well, if you're someone that doesn't really want Flying Scotsman that much, then yeah, don't bother getting them. But if you're someone that really does, but doesn't have a lot of money to spend, go with the new one. But if you're someone that really cares about quality and doesn't care about price, then just buy a Hornby Flying Scotsman. I mean, he's got all the detail you could want, and he costs, well, a considerable amount of money, so if you care that much, just go with this already. So I guess that pretty much wraps up this review. And now I can officially say I've reviewed the best of the best, the worst of the best, and the best of the worst. Which should leave you with just 2 more questions. Robert, what item are you going to review next? And, Robert, if you've reviewed the best of the best, the worst of the best, and the best of the worst, then what's the worst of the worst? And that's going to be my next review. That's right, folks. I'm going to review the worst of the worst of Thomas Wooden Railway. That's right, an item so bad, so hated, so just terrible, it's unspeakable. Actually, I've already mentioned it in, I think, one of my first reviews. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So yeah, it's going to be like this review where I'm going to sit in front of the camera and talk about the item, but don't worry, after that, I'm going to go back to my old style of reviews. So that's going to be my next review on this elusive, terrible item that I think I mentioned in like my troublesome brake van review. Yeah, so if you go find it, you can go figure it out for yourself. And then after that, I'm going to be reviewing a destination. I'm not going to tell you which destination yet, but you'll see all in good time. And don't worry, it'll be coming out very soon. So, yeah, there's pretty much not much else to say except this is Wooden Rail Reviews saying goodbye. And as always, thank you for watching.